The most important thing that I want to talk about in this video is the Mark 8.5 and the little touches that they've done on this car. Namely, as you can see me flicking back and forth between, the infotainment. That's the main thing. That's what everyone's been talking about. The Mark 8, it had its problems, you know, it didn't have backlit bits. It didn't have, it was all sort of like the non-physical buttons. It was all touch sensitive. It had problems with potentially a little bit of lag as well. And don't get me wrong, they'd worked on it quite a lot over, well, it was 2020 it came out, so coming up to 4 years. But it was certainly needed a facelift. And if they didn't touch on the infotainment, there would have been a problem. And they have. So I actually showed images before last year, and actually, amazingly, it's very similar to what it is here. It's got that stuck on sort of iPad stuff. I see a little bit better here from one of the images. And as you can see, you've got like a little bit more buttons to kind of play with. I mean, some of it's kind of still carried over from the Mark 8, but at least, you know, you got your temperature controls, which I believe was sort of introduced on the Passat anyway for Volkswagen. The steering wheel was kind of one of the big thing as well. Probably see it a little bit better here. But they are actually physical. You can actually use them, so you don't just have to roll your hand over them and they accidentally press it. Yeah, and that's a big thing. What it will mean for Mark 8 owners, to be honest, you know what I hope? I hope this stuff can be retrofitted to a Mark 8. That's what a lot of people did back in previous generations. And previous generations of cars, they'll take a facelift and they'll, you know, touch it up to their pre-facelift version. In terms of what else has actually changed, I was really trying to, I'll be honest, I was kind of struggling to see the main differences because this just looked like a Club Sport 45, basically. You know, it has the rear spoiler, slightly like similar Golf R style wheels. It's got all this fancy, well, computerized kind of graphic. Exhaust look like the Akrapovic ones. The taillights look thinner. That's certainly one thing, which does look quite nice. I never had any issues with the way the Golf, the Mark 8 Golf looked. Personally, I thought it was great. I think if it just had that little, you know, they went the wrong way with the infotainment, and it looks like they have addressed kind of like the main sort of issues, and that is with the inside. It's quite a big screen, you know, that's quite dominating, and it'll be interesting to see what that's like on the move. Very much sort of getting into the whole Tesla kind of thing, where they, to be fair, they take up even larger. I've spent time in a Polestar 2, and they've got huge screens as well. Other than that, it looks quite similar, and I believe that will definitely make the car more usable, which is exactly what everyone wants. So well done, that's great, and it's good that it's now a bit more official. Just sort of describing some of the things that they've kind of say to it, well, the complaints, but I say complaints, just the things that you'd want to improve upon. Basically, they're saying a host of design changes, chassis enhancements, a revamped interior, and potentially more power. Could be something that comes about it. I know they've changed the DCC a little bit more now. It's called like DCC Pro Adaptive. It's probably just a really, really, you know, they've got a really good DCC system, which is dynamic chassis control, which means you can go from like comfort to non-comfort to hard to fast, whatever you kind of want. And they've got sort of like a 16-way version of that, and it's supposed to be really, really good. So that's quite good. But it's all on the same MQ8 platform, which is quite similar to the Mark 7 setup anyway. It's all revolution, revolution, revolution. You know, this is also going to have looking like the A888 2-litre, which has been used so much. And I love the engine, and it could well be the last one before they fully go to electric. And that's going to be interesting. I'm not too sure what this car actually is. It says GTI, but it looks like a Club Sport to me. Looks very nice. I like the exhaust. I like everything about it. Prices wise, I don't think you can get even a standard GTI. Really, I'd be surprised if you get one less than 40,000 in the UK, which is an incredible amount of money. I've seen Mark 8s drop quite a lot in price. I've even seen Golf R's sort of around the £26,000–27,000 mark, high mileage. So they've taken a huge hit. The UK used car market's kind of been a bit taken aback, and this isn't going to help those values because everyone obviously wants the facelift, everyone wants something new, people will be swapping out, deals will be ending and all that kind of stuff, which might lead to opportunities for people to kind of, if they want to get into a Mark 8, get into a Mark 8, although I would struggle simply because of the infotainment. Unless I could retrofit this one in, I'd probably struggle. And no manual gearbox. You can see in the automatic. The GTI doesn't have a manual anymore, so certainly in the UK it's going to be automatic only. Across the world it's probably automatic, although we'll see in the States. I know they're trying to keep the manual alive a little bit more, which is nice to see. Back to basics makes sense. You know, working on the things that matter, which is this infotainment, which is why I'm focusing on it so much. Makes this a really, really well-rounded car. It's certainly more sportier from my experiences driving it than the Mark 7.5. It's gone in that direction, both across the GTI and the R brand. And yeah, excited to see what it's going to be like, and hopefully I'll get the opportunity to sort of test it out. It looks like it will be available around 2024, so that's great. Exciting to see, and it takes a lot of sort of courage to kind of realise when you perhaps made mistakes and you have to rectify it. You know, they're clearly owned that it wasn't good, because if it was good, they would have kept it, or they would have gone even more sort of like non-touch sensitive, non-back buttons, all this stuff. Very simple changes. You think a steering wheel and a screen, but there's a lot more to it. And with ChatGPT integrated with it, hey, that's where the future kind of lies, which I guess makes sense. But for me, it probably leads to more detachment in cars, which is why I'm quite happy with my Mark 7 Golf R. Just personally, I like to have that more control when I'm kind of driving. So that's just one thing. But let me know what you guys think. If you see anything different in the kind of like the looks that I've perhaps missed. The thinner headlights at the rear look quite nice, and at the front looks like a slightly different touch. Perhaps they've done a little bit of difference in some of the grills, and certainly the wheels are different. The crappy pitch exhaust looks obviously very nice, but that was available in the 45, and also you get it on the Golf R and the Golf R 20 years as well. Power-wise, I don't know what more they can do with that sort of VA 888. You know, there's only so much you can cut power you can kind of get out of cars, and you know, the engine's pretty much maxing out, really. You know, it's just been around for so long. I wouldn't really be suggesting it's going to be pushing that much more, certainly from Volkswagen. But let me know your thoughts in the comments around it. Certainly, mainly for me, the infotainment, and would that convince you to then buy it? Or is it not enough? Is the price an issue? Is it not an issue? You know, comments always welcome. It's a community channel at the end of the day. And yeah, I'll obviously be happy to help as well in the comments to get involved in the discussions, because it's an exciting year, exciting time, and perhaps a real end of an era with the Golf as we kind of know it. We'll have to see where the world of electric goes, or hybrid goes, or sustainable fuels go, or the technology that they're implementing into it goes. But the big thing for me, they've changed the steering wheel with buttons, and they've made it the screen a little bit more apparently easier to use. I mean, I would like to test it out and use it. Certainly from a standstill it would be okay, but even straight away, and this is a gripe I'll probably have with all manufacturers, using that on the move might be quite challenging. But let's see what it's like, and I hope to bring you that later this year. So yeah, as soon as it's available, you know, I'll try my best, and I'll share it with you on the channel. So yeah, like, share, subscribe for that, and comments, really helpful, and it helps everyone out. And see what you guys are thinking, particularly those of you on my channel who have a Mark 8. What are you thinking with the Mark 8.5 coming out? And for those who maybe might want to get into a Mark 8 now that the price is potentially coming down,